Another episode of Beauty and the Bolt. How might I help you today? Hey, get it? I think I'm funny. Andrew doesn't. That's fine. Today we're going to be learning to use the Mitre Saw, which is probably the easiest and fastest way to cut down wood to size. So you've got your cross cut, your miter cut, your bevel cut, and your compound cut. So before we get started, let's go over a quick roadmap of the tool. So you have your cutting bed here, and when you're cutting wood, your fingers should never enter this blue area. And then you've got your saw guard, which is covering your blade, and you can see as the tool comes down, the blade will show. And then you've got your miter angle gauge and your bevel angle gauge, and this lets you choose the angle of your miter cut, so you can actually adjust this and turn the bed to whatever angle that you want. And for your bevel cut, you usually have some sort of knob back here, and you can turn that and tilt the miter saw as you please. Some of your saws might also have a sliding lock here that lets you slide the miter saw this way. So this one allows you to cut out to 15 inches. However, in general, if you're only doing cuts on material like this, you're going to want to make sure that your saw is locked in the back position. We'll start with the simplest cut, a cross cut. I've got my material here. I'm going to be using this mark, so 14 inches. Before you get cutting, always remember safety. Eyes protected and ears should be protected. When you're using a power tool like this, make sure you're not wearing any jewelry or rings or loose clothing. So I'm going to protect my ears, and now I can't hear you anymore. Not that anyone's talking to me. It's fine. And now I'm going to bring the blade down to check that the edge of the blade is on the side of the wood that you want to cut. You'll notice that the blade takes up space on this side of the line so that the thickness of the blade doesn't shorten my workpiece. Push the safety lock button and then pull Be sure to let the blade stop spinning before you pull it out of the wood. And now you've got your perfect straight cross cut. All right, now let's do a miter cut. I've drawn in a 30-degree miter angle, so now I'm going to level my miter gauge to 30 degrees. So to do that, I'm going to twist this to release the lock, slide it around until I see this is on 30, and then release it. Just like with the cross cut, you want to bring the blade down and make sure that it's in exactly the right place, that the edge of the blade is lined up against your line, and that the width of the blade is coming out of your scrap piece. And then you can just and now you've got a beautiful bevel cut. Next up, bevel cut. So I'm going to put my miter angle back to 0, and this time I'm going to put my bevel angle. And I'm going to do this at 22.5 degrees, but it really depends on what project you're working on. All right, so now you'll see that this angle is 22.5 degrees, but we've still got a straight 90-degree cut there. So with this, kerf can get a little trickier, but it's the same idea. You just want to bring the blade down non-spinning to make sure that it's in the right place on the wood. Grab yourself some ear protection. Let's cut this wood. And now you can see you've got a nice bevel cut here. Now that we've learned the miter and the bevel, let's put them together and try a compound cut, which is a combination of both. And this is useful if you're doing crown molding in corners, etc. I'm going to leave this at 22.5 degrees, and I'm going to slide my miter angle here, and we'll do 31.6 degrees. I'm going to slide my wood into place, put on my ear protection, and let's cut this wood. As always, check to make sure your blade is coming down in the right place and adjust accordingly. Now you can see we've got a nice compound cut. As you can see, this is a miter fine saw, and I hope you get lots of use out of it.